Okie pokey. So we have our parts here. Just going to start by masking off the areas that we don't want to get paint on. I'm using frog tape, which is my favourite. Okay, so now we have everything masked off, but we don't want to paint. I'm going to use some 800 grit sandpaper. Just going to rough up the surface, probably going in a couple of directions. This will give the paint something to key into, because the standard PA6 can be a little bit tricky to get stuff to stick to. Now then, because this has already got some kind of painted type surface on it, it's going to be a bit easier, but in general it's always good to just rough up the surface a little bit. And then we want to use a tack cloth to remove all the grit from the sanding, and we'll probably go in with an alcohol wipe or something and just remove any oils that might have come from my skin where I'm sanding. Like, you could use gloves to do all of this, but these are used ones, so people would have been touching them already. So it's best to go in with an alcohol wipe afterwards and just in case, just to help the paint stick nicely. Right. Okay, so now I'm using tack cloth, which is like a slightly sticky cloth, which will pick up all the little bits left over from the sanding, all the dust and swarf. Okay, now I'm just going to give them a bit of a wipe down. Just got a little bit of alcohol. I'll give that a couple of seconds just to evaporate off. Now I'm going to give everything, hold on, let's grab one. Give a bit of a coat of adhesion promoter, which is like a glue that helps plastic stick to, or helps paint stick to plastic. Right, so we have all the pieces back from the paint shop. These have been sanded, and then they're cleaned, given a coat of adhesion promoter. Then we've sprayed on like a base layer of sealer, which is a bit like a primer. Then the black. Then they've had a couple of coats of clear coat just to make them super shiny. But unfortunately, the headband part couldn't fit in our dryer just the way we were supporting it. It would have ended up touching something, and that would have ruined it. So there's a couple of bits where dust has landed on it, which is a bit annoying. So hopefully, to fix that, what we've done is we've given the clear coat a couple of days to dry, and then we can take some 2000 grit sandpaper and some polish and polish that bad boy out. So I'm going to start by just by wet sanding these. I've got a bit of soapy water there. I'm going to get my 2000 grit sandpaper, get it a little bit wet. Then I'm going to sand the surface down just to get rid of those little tiny lumps that the dust has made in them. And the water will help carry away any of the little particles that I've sanded off, which will give a smoother finish. So what we're trying to do is not scratch this up too much, so it doesn't take as long to polish. Using a very fine sandpaper, 2000 grit. You can go like another stage finer than this, but I think this will do. You can kind of feel it as you're going along, you feel it starting to stick. That's when you know it's nearly perfectly smooth. Okay, so that's that done. Now then, as you can see, that's now a dull kind of thing, and you can also see, if you dry it off, you can see little shiny bits, which is where you've got tiny dips. So it probably means you need to sand a little bit more. Sand it till all the shiny bits have gone, really. Now I know anyone that works on cars or any real paintwork will be horrified at me using my hand, not a sanding block, but on these tight curves, that's probably the only way you can do it. Right, okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Right, so now that's all flatted off, but it's no longer shiny. So now we need to re-enshine-inate it. So, what we've got here is some 3M Fast Cut Plus. Oh, whoop, got it everywhere. A bit crusty. This is like a polishing compound. It's got little gritty bits in it, which will gradually break down as you polish. So it'll polish finer and finer. So a bit like using a finer and finer grit of sandpaper. Now then, really, if you want to do this practically, you should probably do this by machine. But again, I'm a bit worried about catching little corners and stuff, so just doing it by hand and taking my time. Just keep going with this until all the little abrasing crystals have kind of broken down. So you can see it's starting to get shinier. So what that's done is taken out most of the fine scratches that the sandpaper has put in. Yeah, if you do a really good job on the clear coating, you don't have to do this. It's just unfortunate that I think some little flecks of dust or something got on this because it wasn't in the dryer. That's looking pretty shiny now. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, and then we'll just finish it off with this essentially finer grade of polishing compound. So this one you can't feel the little gritty bits in it, they're much finer. And they'll take out any of the even finer scratches that were made by the previous polishing. And then because we use an automotive paint system, you could go in and wax this afterwards if you were so inclined. Just give it a bit more protection, maybe a bit more shine. There you go, I don't know if you can see that, we've got a mirror-like shine on there now, so that's got rid of all those little lumps that were in there. Nice. There we go, so that's that one back in. Let's pop the other one. There we go, that's those. Now let's build up the stack at the back. So we've got our black grill. Just want to make sure we get it so it lines up nicely. There we go. Yeah, it'll only fit on one way round, so you've just got to have a good old look at it and figure out which way that is. Put our outer ring on. I've just gone for the just plain black with a piano black kind of finish on everything. It's quite nice. It's nice. Yeah. I know the 800S is all black, but this is just one notch sexier. It's got a deep glass lacquered surface. Let's pop that in. Oh, she's a sexy one. Alright, let's get that on there. So that metal ring on the inside there. And that will go when we put the other bit on. So let's pop these screws. Which screws are these then? It's going to be these ones. Hang on. T6. Sennheiser do love a T6, it's good. It means we only need one screwdriver for most of their headphones. T6 and T10 seem to be the main headphone screwdrivers these days, other than your standard Phillips. Right, so we have the ear cups all put together. It's time to do the headband now. Let's have a look. It's all pretty firmly on there. Okay. Hinges. Might need to remove some of the paint on the inside because I'm not sure these will fit with the paint in there. Right, I got the little grommety things back in with a great deal of swearing. They're not there in a really awkward place. Right, okay, so let's put the little springs with the sponge in. Just attach those on, hopefully they'll kind of stay in place. Or do they stick in here? Yeah, so attach them, push them into the little standoffs in the headband, it looks like. It's the easiest way of doing it. Just want to make sure the spring's located properly, and then hopefully we can push this bit, the pin, through the assembly. That's the second one pressed into place. Now, what do we do here? Yeah, so locate the ear cup, and then you've got these little plastic doodads that go in there. And our little metal plate and the screws. Just make sure they're properly torqued down. There we go. Now the little dust covers and ear pads. And there we go. HD800s, now black HD800s.